Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of We Rise with Alia. I am actually going live today. And if you're new to this channel, then I'm Dr. Alia Khan. And on this podcast, on this channel, we talk all about faith, feminism, spirituality, personal growth, what it is to be an empowered, confident, strong, but spiritual Muslim woman in today's world. So today we are talking about shame. Shame. It's a bit of a heavy topic, but I think it's something that is really, really necessary. Like, we need to speak about it because shame is one of the densest, I think it's the densest emotion to carry. So if you think about emotions each having a specific frequency, right? So the highest frequency, the highest vibration of an emotion is, say, love, right? But at the bottom, the very lowest frequency, the very lowest vibration is shame. And it's not surprising, really, because even from a psychological perspective, shame is one of the hardest ones to clear. It is one of the ones that creates the most problems in our lives because it is so often unseen. It's an emotion that kind of lives inside us, inside the sort of deepest recesses of our minds, and it lives in our bodies. As we know, emotions live in the body as well. So because we don't want to see the shame, we can't see how it's affected us as well, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you my recent blog post. If you want to like read along with it, it's on Substack or it's on the We Rise website. That's we-rise.co.uk. All my blog articles are there. And then, you can sign up to the newsletter so you always get them as well. I think all the links should be below somewhere. And then, of course, I would really love to hear your thoughts and your experiences. Like, sharing our experiences is so, so, so important and so healing for women. And, maybe you resonate with something that I've said. What are your reflections on these kind of shameful feelings that we have as women, starting right from our childhoods and then into our teenage years and then right into womanhood, and it doesn't leave. So, please do share in the comments and even ask your questions as well, because when you do that, you're actually really helping other women to heal as well, right? Because they read your comments and they're like, oh, it touches something in them. It helps them heal too. And the more that we can talk openly, the more that we can heal and grow and rise as confident, empowered, sovereign women. I love that word. Sovereign womanhood. That is what it's all about. Okay, so here we go. I've been thinking a lot about shame recently, but before thinking about it, it appeared in my body, in my stomach to be precise. I was thinking about what I wanted to wear to a festival that I was going to, planning my outfit and getting excited about my look for the 5 days that I would be there. And then it came, rising up out of nowhere. Deep shame, a feeling of wrongness. It's different from guilt in that it is totally visceral, right? Guilt lives more in the mind, but shame lives in the body. Shame is so hidden, so deep, so buried that we do not always know is there. And that's what makes it so dangerous. I certainly didn't know that I had shame living in my body. God healed that shit. But when I gave myself permission to sit with it, to witness it, to acknowledge its presence, to get curious about it, and then to breathe and cry through it, instead of running from it, distracting myself, pushing it down, I was shocked at what it revealed. I have been carrying huge, monumental shame about being a feminine woman. A feminine. A woman who loves beauty above all else. Hello, Libra rising. I'm drawn to pretty things. I like to beautify places. I love to adorn myself. And yes, I absolutely love beauty, fashion, hair, makeup, jewelry, skincare, all that gorgeous stuff. And my whole adult life, I have been shamed for it, made to feel shallow or vain, or worst of all, fitna. That me expressing myself through my appearance is disliked by God, a punishable sin, and going fundamentally against what it means to be a good Muslim woman, for whom modesty, or do we mean invisibility, is the name of the game, the shame game. Looking back, the shame around my beauty, my body, and my femininity started young. As soon as I turned 11, it suddenly stopped being cute to want to wear high heels or curl my hair, and it became inappropriate. That's where it all starts, really, isn't it? When we first transition from being girls into women at 11, and someone tells us that our bodies are no longer acceptable and that doing anything to draw attention to them is shameful, that we have to hide, be smaller, be less female. Do not be a woman. Even though that is exactly what is happening to our bodies through biological maturation. Something natural and unstoppable and totally out of our control. This is the moment when we become aware of our shame over our femininity and therefore our womanhood. To exist as a woman is to have shame. Do boys go through this erasure when they become men? No. They are overtly proud of the fuzz showing up on their faces or their shoulders broadening and their voices deepening. For boys, becoming a man, when they hit puberty, is something to be proud of, not something to hide, to be embarrassed about or pretend isn't happening. And it certainly isn't a cue for them to drastically modify their appearance or their behavior in public. But for girls, well, we know what happens. You suddenly can't play with your cousin brothers anymore. You're given dirty looks and rough tellings off if you look too pretty or your clothes are too tight. Clothes that were perfectly acceptable a few months ago are now fitna. And no one explains this kindly. Well, at least not to me and the hundreds of women that I've spoken to about this. It's almost like what is happening to our body and the perceived attention we might get for it is our fault. Like we did something wrong, immoral, bad. And if you don't modify your clothes or your behavior quickly enough, then you are being bad. Not making a mistake or committing a folly of youth or naivety, but sin. You are doing it on purpose. You're being an attention seeker. You're disgusting. You're cheap. You're shameless. Society teaches us very quickly that we will be punished, sometimes severely, for being too visibly female. We learn it is a man's world, and there may not be space for us in it. And so we learn to hunch our shoulders so our growing breasts won't show. We wear long tops to cover our bum, and we always tie our hair up. We look down and speak quietly so as to not draw unwanted attention from boys. Because if an auntie catches the boy looking at us, we'll be told off, never the boy. I know I'm not alone in this experience, because whenever I talk about this in my women's circles, this experience seems to be almost universal. Regardless of the exact age or context, there was a certain point in our adolescence when we became acutely aware of our sex and became ashamed of it. A bit like how Adam and Eve ate the fruit in the Garden of Eden and became aware of their nakedness and felt shame for the first time. All girls have a moment, probably long forgotten and buried in the unconscious and therefore highly influential in our thinking. A moment when they realized they were a female. And that femaleness was wrong. And because this memory has remained in the unconscious, it has never been questioned or uprooted from our psyche. It's been allowed to remain an uninvited guest, along with all the negative emotions that came with it at the time, shaping our self-concept and our beliefs about womanhood, about sexuality, and about gender relations, like how we relate to the opposite sex. So to clear this imprint, we must bring it into the conscious mind. Consciousness or awareness is the key to liberating ourselves from this heavy burden of shame. If we can remember what happened to us, if we can be brave enough to go there, if we can name the thoughts and the feelings that came with those experiences, and then see how they shaped us, we can finally let go of those limiting beliefs and painful stories that keep us trapped, small, hiding, invisible, and ashamed of our very existence as women. We can start, finally, to exist freely, to take up space, to see ourselves as whole and holy. We can finally embody, not just know intellectually, yeah? We can finally embody our equality, our worth, and our divinity. So my prayer for you is, may you know yourself as perfectly created by the One. May you be at peace with your femininity, however you choose to express it. May you be free from shame. With love and power. So that was my article. That was my I don't know if it's an article. It's my reflection. It's my thoughts. It's just what came out of me one morning. Yeah, and I would love to hear your thoughts about that, because for me it's really been a journey to here. Oh, whoops. And I think it takes, like I said, a lot of courage and a lot of bravery to go back to the time where you first encountered that realization, that acknowledgement that, oh my God, like I'm different, like I'm less than because I'm a woman, because I'm a female, and specifically because of this female body. That is changing, right? It's differentiating you from boys, and that's a problem. So if you've got anything to share about that, please let me know in the comments. Let's talk, because it's really, really important that we as women start to heal from this shame, because it doesn't help anyone for us to keep carrying this very heavy burden. Because what you might not realize is that shame stops you in so many insidious ways. Like, it stops you from taking up space, it stops you from speaking up, it stops you from expressing yourself fully, right? And it stops you feeling good in yourself as a woman. Like, how can you be at war with your own sex? Because that's what happens when we carry shame about our sexuality, about our femininity. What happens is there's a part of us deep down that is rejecting that about us, that is saying it's not good for me to be a woman. I don't want to be a woman. On a very deep subconscious level, there is self-rejection and there is self-hatred. If you can't acknowledge that that exists inside you, then you won't realize that that could potentially be the thing that is stopping you from going after your dreams, or creating the life that you want, or living, in a healthy, balanced way within your physical health, your relationships, your emotions, all of this, like all the things so for example, right, things that might be associated with femininity, like emotions, right? Being emotional, being sensitive. You could be at war with that side of yourself. And this isn't just because of shame, by the way, around, like what happens to us in adolescence and in our families and stuff. But actually, it's the wider messages that we get from society that being sensitive and being emotional and being a girl, just man up. It's always that the feminine aspects of our self-expression are weak, are not valued, are seen as problematic. And so if you don't question those things, if you don't see how those messages are being absorbed by your psyche and your unconscious, then that's where they stay. You don't acknowledge that it's even a problem, that it might have actually battered your self-confidence. It might have actually made you feel really shit about yourself. But when you start to see that this is how society, culture, communities, families have, placed this heavy burden of shame on women, then we can choose to do differently. We can be like, hang on a minute, no, I don't accept that. I've got nothing to be ashamed of. I have got nothing to be ashamed of. You have got nothing. I will say that over and over again. You have got nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing. So, yeah, like I said, my greatest wish and prayer for you is for you to live without shame. Be shameless. Be shameless. And that doesn't mean, this idea of being shameless is seen as like a bad thing. Why would you want to live with shame? We should all be without shame, shameless, right? It's like being fearless is seen as a good thing. It means that you're courageous. It means you're bold. It means you're brave. fearless, because we know that fear is a negative emotion. And yet, when we talk about shame, it has a totally different connotation. Being shameless is bad. Interesting, isn't it? Something to ponder on. But what I would say is I would encourage you to just spend a bit of time reflecting on that moment. Like, when was it for you in your childhood? Maybe it was when you first got your period. Maybe it was when you first got attention from a boy, right? When was it that you first became aware of, your ability to attract attention in the opposite sex? How did it make you feel? Because I know for me, it felt like shit. It felt horrendous because it starts young, right? Like, we start getting attention from men, even grown men, at a very young age. And I think this is what, like, women know this. Like, if you speak to other women, we know this. Like, it's a fact, right? But men act like, oh my God, that's so terrible. Like, I can't believe that. What do you mean you can't believe that? We can believe it. Other women believe it. We know it happens. It happens to every girl. You get perved on, from a very, very young age. And it does not feel nice. It feels awful. And then if on top of that, you're getting told off and told it's your fault by the adults in your life who are supposed to protect you, that has a very, very negative impact on our psychological development and our self-esteem and our feelings of self-worth. And we internalize all of that horrible blame, shame, and we carry that into our later lives. And it affects the decisions that we make. It affects how we show up in the world. And the world needs women to show up confidently. There are a lot of problems in our lives, in the world, and women need to come and solve those problems because the men have had a go and they've fucked things up royally. So give the women a go now. Right. I'm going to leave it there. And also, of course, if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to my channel. I'm a new channel. But I do have a lot to say, and I am on a mission to help Muslim women everywhere rise up, step into their power, smash the patriarchy, stop taking bullshit from men, from family, community, whatever, but still not lose their faith, not lose their connection to Allah. So if you can, give me a like, give me a subscribe, throw me some hype points, share it with, a woman, a friend, a sister, your mum, anyone. It will really help the algorithm push me out, and so I would really appreciate that. But have a great day and hopefully see you in the comments. Take care, my loves, and see you soon. Bye.